right, with Nigeria facing high inflation, but currency stability at this point, but there's still those financial challenges. We're hearing that digital assets, especially stablecoins, are helping people and businesses with payments, cross-border trade and remittances, with over $20 billion in yearly remittances and growing, crypto adoption. And we see Nigeria as leading Africa in digital currency use at this point. But how's that playing into inflation? Let's speak to Uzoma James, the regional manager, West Africa for Yellow Card. Great to have you on the show, Uzoma.
Hi, great to have you. Great to have me here. Thank you so much.
Right, so we're seeing, the latest inflation numbers still elevated, even though we're still a downward trend, with that. But we're hearing that, some smart investors are using stable coins, at this point to help hedge against some of the macro issues there. So, break it down for me. How's this really playing out on the ground?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I myself, I use stable coins to hedge against inflation as well. And I've seen a lot of creators, influencers, as well as small business owners use stable coins to hedge against currency inflation. It also helps make ease with business and the likes. So yes, we have a lot of people that are currently adopting stable coins because one USDT, for example, USDT is a stable coin, is pegged at $1. And we see a lot of people using this to store value so that, they wouldn't make much losses in their businesses.
All right, so, talking about, use cases at this point, it seems it's just good for cross-border payments, at this time. Nothing really, when it comes to everyday use.
Not just cross-border payments, you can also make use of it to store value, like I said previously. But yes, a lot of businesses make use of it. I'll give an example. I went to Idumota recently, and I saw a lot of small business owners that wanted to import certain products, coming together, saving money, giving someone they trust Naira, and that person helping them to make cross-border payments using stable coins. So yes, it's largely very effective in terms of remittances, but you get to see freelancers, influencers also making use of it to store value.
And yeah, we see the data there showing that Nigeria is a top user, of stable coins. Talk to me about when this trend, really started. Why are so many people adopting it, at this time? Is this a sign of what to expect, in the future?
It is a sign of what to expect in the future. It is a sign that is already happening now. Give it time. Technology will definitely advance. There will definitely be new technologies. And as businesses strive to remain competitive in the market, they would always look for easier, faster, cheaper ways to remain competitive globally. So yes, it is a trend. You see a lot of people on WhatsApp, on Telegram, doing trades, doing this transaction, and it's happening everywhere. You see employers of labor employing people and paying them in stable coins as well. You see small and medium, both large businesses also adopting stable coins. I would say one of the reasons why this trend is so widespread is because of the dollar shortage. People will always find solution to problems. So due to the dollar shortage, stablecoins, since one stablecoin is equivalent to one USD, people also make use of it as a solution to their problem. So that's why we have widespread adoption at the moment.
So, with that kind of usage, I guess it's safe to say that it's reducing pressure on the local currency, at this point. Talk to me about how, stable coins are changing remittances in Nigeria, and is that bad for the banks at this point?
I would say, I wouldn't say it's bad for the banks. I would say it's a tool for the bank if the bank can start making use of it. Banks like JP Morgan have started making use of stable coins. They have their own stable coins in the works. If traditional banks in Nigeria can also imbibe that, that would be a huge advancement in technology. In the future, I see a lot of banks incorporating stable coins in their own infrastructure as well.
And do you see, since, you're not seeing it as bad for the banks, is that collaboration, with,
Yes.
stablecoin issuers and, traditional banks at this time, especially in Nigeria?
We recently partnered with Visa, and Visa is using stablecoins to solve most of these problems in the grassroots level. With Visa making that announcement, definitely banks are beginning to wake up and reach out and say, hey, how can we make use of this tool? How can we, since globally accepted banks and platforms are beginning to use stable coins, we have a lot reaching out saying that, hey, would like to partner, would like to work together. So yes, definitely.
And with what we're seeing in the U.S. at this time, it's crypto week right now in the U.S. There's a lot of, legislation, discussions there on setting rules, for this industry. Do you think with what we're seeing play out at this point, this would mean more adoption, globally for stablecoins?
I think the crypto adoption in Nigeria, it's way higher, if you ask me. There will definitely continuously be adoption. A lot of people are now getting more comfortable with using it. Although I do believe that if regulatory were to come in and there is policies being put in place, the adoption would definitely increase way more than we are seeing now. But yes, there's a lot of adoption because remittances using stable coins is way cheaper, so people embrace it a lot.
And when you say cheaper, at this point, how cheap are we talking here? If I'm trying to send $1 million to the US right now with stable coins, how cheap are we talking?
As low as 100 Naira.
100 Naira to send
Yes.
$1 million abroad. That is quite incredible, definitely. Talking about rules at this point, looking at the case in Nigeria, we've set some rules here. That's the Securities and Exchange Commission. How do our rules compare to, other African countries?
It's the same rails when you talk of the same infrastructure. Technology is going global. Just as someone in US has WhatsApp, I can always message them with WhatsApp. We have a very young, populous, tech-savvy population in Nigeria. So it's the same technology we are actually making use of. So that is why we can remain competitive globally, even from Nigeria as a country. So that doesn't change the fact that we cannot position ourselves strategically, because definitely we are using the same technology and even better.
All right, so it's 2025. We've seen a lot of adoption right now. I'm trying to imagine what to expect in the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. I would link this up with 3 key points. The first one would be regulation will determine clarity. It will drive adoption. When we have good policies that put fraudsters in place, I know a lot of people are scared of crypto because of Ponzi schemes and all those sorts. But if regulation is in place and the right policies, I see these bad actors being put in check. And in the next 2 or 3 years, next 3 to 5 years, a lot of people would be using stable coins. A lot of people will be adopting it. And I see a synergy between traditional banking institutions as well. It will be a game changer in the space. It will help small and medium businesses remain competitive in the financial space as well.
Right, and it still takes me back to when we had that issue there with algorithmic stable coins, where we saw one of them actually depeg, from the US dollar. And I'm wondering if that risk is totally, behind the industry, at this time, that whole depegging risk, because it'd be quite painful to be sending $1 million abroad and the stable coin depegs.
Could you say that again, please? I lost you for a bit.
So I'm talking about the algorithmic stable coins, the issue we had in the past where the stable coin depegged, from the US dollar, it went to less than $1. Is that risk behind the industry, right now, talking about depegging, when the currency actually depegs, from the real world asset?
Okay, what I tell people is I think that happened with USDT, but there's also USDC, and with USDC, we do not see that happening. We do not see that happening. So if one that is pegged go down, you always have alternatives that are pegged that you can rely on.
All right, we'll definitely keep tracking this growth. Thank you so much, Uzoma James, as Regional Manager West Africa for Yellow Cat. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.